Hey girls, and welcome to the Girl Boss Method. Okay, so tonight's topic, holidays, heat, and hormones. So I think it goes without saying that again, this time of year, it's summer now, and with this, quite often comes a wave of disruption. So you've got the heat, your social life, again, you might have holidays planned as well, hormones, you start feeling sort of hormonal differences or shifts, and maybe even like general fatigue, and it all just kind of hits all at once. So, the idea of this session is about showing you how to stay grounded when everything around you feels chaotic, and why trying to push harder might not be the smartest move. Okay. So, we want to normalize our plans, and we want to make sure that we're creating shifts or accommodating situations without giving up completely or starting over. So, firstly, what I'd like you to do, if you ladies are watching this live with me, or if you're watching it back, is I want you to grab a pen and paper, because I think it's really good time to do a little bit almost of self-reflection and some journaling as well. So, kind of ask yourself this, and you can pop this down either in the Zoom chat or you can write it down in your notepad. What do you feel like has been what's been your biggest struggle lately? Which one of those things has kind of been on your mind or taking over? Has it been the fact that it's got a bit hot? Is it the holiday routines? Is it just general life stress? So yeah, again, with the summer, we are gonna welcome the chaos, but we are gonna adjust things to kind of work. So you don't need to be perfect, but what you do need to do is be prepared. And so it might be that some of you are kind of stuck in this like perfectionist mindset that, if you can't do it all right now, that you're just going to not bother at all. Or it could be that maybe you've got this idea in your head because so much just going on in summer that, really, if I'm honest, because things change in the summer, you're not going to be able to have a perfect routine. It's about getting back into a rhythm and taking that time to become more strategic about what you do. So being prepared doesn't mean that you're like over planning. It means that you know what your defaults are. So the things that you will do without fail. So, again, things like your non-negotiables. So, again, protein shakes are great, or even smoothies, having those sorts of things you can kind of whip up and put together. And again, even when it comes to being out and about, knowing that you've got that sort of handy as well, knowing that maybe you've even got three core meals ready that you're going to have for the day ahead, or maybe even thinking about after the holidays, is it that you've kind of had that breakaway, you're coming back, and you've kind of organized yourself to have 2 to 3 days of planned meals. And it doesn't mean that you have to have everything cooked, but it's just having that idea of what you're going to do between getting back and the next 2 or 3 days, so you're not just overwhelmed with decision fatigue. So if there is something that gets in your way and you need to kind of adjust that, you create some flexibility there. So for those of you that are using MyFitnessPal and you are sort of on the pathway of doing the tracking and you're putting things into your diary in advance, this is really good, because this is where you can start to learn how to shift things around. Whereas if you are in a season of working through some food journaling, again, with meal plans and meal templates and things, there are some things that we can do to help plan or switch up if we need to. So when life gets hot, you need structure and not willpower. So again, when it comes to the heat, that's going to affect your sleep, your energy, your mood, and therefore affect your decision making as well. So this is another reason why we need to make sure that we're kind of planning in advance. And when it comes to willpower, that is gonna drop. Unfortunately, it's because of the heat and the stress, it's starts to make you feel really, how can I put it, like awkward or uncomfortable. And this is really where we need some systems in place and some habits, some non-negotiables that we can kind of lean onto and not just relying on this like willpower or motivation. So we're going to be thinking about our minimums now, and the minimums that we do matter more now more than ever. And so this is one of the reasons why on a Monday, for example, we might kind of share our non-negotiables for the week ahead. So the things that we want to do as a minimum to ensure that we're staying aligned and we're on track. So for example, you could ensure that, again, if water is something that you're struggling with, that you're ensuring that you get, your first liter of water in before lunchtime. Or it might be that you're getting in 2 liters in before 4 p.m. And you're not sort of chasing your tail on water where, you've had some in the morning, the day's come in and you've been rushed off your feet, you've forgotten about it. And because you haven't been aligned to that goal, all of a sudden you finish work and you go, oh my goodness, I need to drink water because I'm thirsty and I'm behind. That's going to affect your sleep. So it's just going to wake you up and you're going to need to use the loo constantly. So try and think about banking in that water earlier on in the day. And then also ensuring as well that regardless of what happens, if, there's a sudden change in your routine where you've got to go and have a meal somewhere else, or the time that you would normally have it adjusts, or it's different than when you kind of intended to, or you get stuck into work and you forget about things, just knowing that you've always got that one protein dominant meal per day. And I would highly recommend this to be the first meal of the day. The best thing that you can do is start with a higher protein meal to begin your day. That way, no matter what happens later on, you've got it in. And then also committing, especially in the heat as well. I cannot walk outside at like 2 p.m, 1 or 2. It's so hot. It's so hot right now. We're not used to it. And so in order for me and some of the other ladies as well, it's been trying to get that morning shift in. So ensuring that even if it's just 10 minutes before you start your day, you could even, as simple as this, get up, pop your trainers on, put something on and just hop out the door and then come back and get ready. Just spend those first few minutes or moments at the beginning of your day getting some movement in. It's going to be really, really important for your mindset as well. So not only that, it's going to help, help your brain wake up as well. So we all know what it's like when you get to your desk and you're feeling, you've not had the best sleep. The best thing that you can do, rather than kind of sitting into that grogginess, is going, right, I am going to commit to walking. So you just get out 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever works for you, whatever you can fit in. And then also ensuring that you've got a consistent pattern in place for when you go to sleep. So a big firm believer in, trying to avoid, or at least the last hour before you settle down to sleep, using that as a way of almost ticking the boxes off in your mind, in your environment, where you're drawing curtains, maybe you're doing the last bits of cleaning up or tidying up, or ensuring you've got things ready for the next day, or maybe it's going into the bathroom and doing cleansing routine or what have you. Just knowing that there is a consistent bedtime in place, working back from that, thinking about all the things you've got to do before you get to bed and working backwards and allowing time for it. And then, I would also say maybe even planning in somewhere a bit of quiet time. So like a 5-minute reset. So in the middle of your day, maybe sort of spending a moment to kind of lie down and breathe, do some belly breathing, or maybe even working through 1 or 2 mobility exercises. And again, you can find these within the workout collection in app. You can go to mobility and You can do some desk mobility or some thread needles and that sort of thing, just to kind of get your body moving if you've been stuck and sat for a while. And the important thing to note here is that you don't rise to your goals in chaos, you fall to your systems. So ensure that those are in place. And here's just a quick visual reminder of some of the examples I mentioned just now. So water, high protein meal, at least one of those a day, getting that walk in, before 10 a.m. or after 7 p.m. when it's a little bit cooler. And then really important that even when it comes to sleep, that your room is dark and it's cool. So yeah, coming on to hormones, again, quite often we'll kind of blame the hormones and not really understanding that actually our hormones are a response to what's going on around you or what's going on. It's a communicating format. It's your hormones are not broken. They're communicating with you. They're telling you that they are responding to the stresses that you are imposing upon the body. So in terms of that, hang on. In terms of that, when we are thinking about this sort of communication, if there's something going on and you think there's something wrong with, your body, again, you're tired, you're bloated, maybe you're craving more, it's kind of working through the steps to kind of support your system. If that's the outcome that's happening, it's thinking about the inputs. What do we need to do? If you're tired, we need to kind of fix your sleep schedule. If you're bloated, we need to kind of think about this, the nutrition in terms of, are you getting enough hydration in? What's your fiber intake like as well? Even if you're like craving more as well, is there a mismatch in terms of the recovery that you're getting for sleep? And is there a mismatch in terms of the amount of protein that you're getting in the system as well? And yeah, hormones, that the response for those is it's going to respond to everything. So it will, the inputs, as I said to you, the things that are happening, your sleep, your stress, your hydration, and even your body's temperature. And then we can kind of come on to, sort of some menstrual related hormonal issues here. So your luteal phase, typically at this point is, again, it might be that you're already sort of quite emotional and the heat can intensify that. Generally around this period, most women will start to, experience an increase in hunger. Maybe that mood dips slightly as well. So again, if you're someone that does experience PMS, these can exacerbate in the heat as well. And when we're talking about that stress and sleep input, this is going to affect, again, your glucose control and your water retention as well. And the same goes for any perimenopausal symptoms as well. These will be amplified in stressful seasons. So it's important that we listen to our body and we're not trying to fight it. So again, even when it comes to, feeling more drained at certain times of the month, well, this is where we can sort of adjust our training. We can look at deloads. We can look at opting for lighter weights. We can look at maybe even altering the way that you move, that maybe you're not doing certain types of exercise. Maybe it suits you better to focus on walking or mobility. And even with cravings, they're normal, but rather than sort of trying to avoid and having this sort of binge or reacting symptom, more so planning for them and understanding that actually at this time, my body typically feels like it needs these things and we plan to have these things in, as opposed to going for a complete avoidance. And when I talk about, and I always go on about this, the protein and the fiber, the reason being, again, it's going to help stabilize those sort of blood sugar levels as well. And as always, important to stay hydrated. Okay. So when we're thinking about maintenance isn't going to be a step back. It's more of a skill. So one of the most powerful phases of your journey is intentional maintenance. So knowing that this is a zone that you can operate in and you can prove to yourself that you can stay consistent without going extreme. So typically what happens if we have got you working in a calorie deficit or an energy deficit, typically at this point, you know, when we've gone, right, it's a holiday or it's my birthday or you know, it's something going on at work or it's some sort of event going on. Typically at this point, it might be where you go from one extreme to the other, and then there's a setback on the way back from maybe overeating as a result of those. I want you to kind of reframe this and kind of think, actually, I'm going to stay within maintenance. Now, what maintenance looks like, again, this is generally where you're in a position where you are not really going to change anything in terms of you're not in a surplus. I know it sounds really silly me explaining this without explaining a person, but let's say, for example, actually, let's say that we've got a deficit goal for you and it's 1600 calories, let's say. What we would do around these periods of time is we would kind of shift you towards a maintenance range. So let's say that maintenance is somewhere between 1900 or 2100 calories. And maybe you might use this over the course of a set period. So if it's like a weekend or it's like a holiday, it's again, maybe even looking at some mindset shifts in terms of how you structure your plate when you're away as well. So if we're going for that and you're opting for, you know, more salads and lean proteins and maybe even delaying breakfast or including breakfast if you know that later on you tend to get snacky or picky between breakfast and lunch, maybe ensuring that you're doing that, making better choices. These are all things that we can kind of work towards together, and we can have those conversations about when it is time for you to step away from working within a deficit. And so holidays can be a good time to do this as well. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense so far and you're with me. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So again, when it comes to like your social life, this is probably an easier area to kind of manage. I say that loosely. It's not, you know, again, social life doesn't mean, oh my God, suddenly it's like self-sabotage. So again, it might be this time of year, you've got sort of meals planned with friends or family, and these are a part of life, you know. You can't look at these and approach these and go, and I failed. You know, this has happened and I've not done well. And, you know, it's about empowering yourself through the decisions that you make. So make space for these, but don't feel guilty as a result. And again, when it comes to simple tools that we can kind of work towards, we can have weekday routines and we can work towards sort of more controlled mindset around meals that help you stay grounded when you are on those sort of family events or food out with friends, etc. So if you are going for food out, you can look at the menu in advance. You can talk to me about this. We can make decisions together, or you can tell me what you want to have, and maybe we can adjust things earlier in the day. And I think it goes without saying that if that is the case, that you are going out for an evening meal, anchoring the day with that protein heavy breakfast. So ensuring that protein is part of that day. Getting a walk in, you know, again, some steps in before you're out, maybe when you're, you know, in the evening as well, after you've had the meal. Encourage your friends to go for a walk, encourage your family to kind of get out and move, explain that it's beneficial, it's going to help stabilize blood glucose levels. So that's a really good plan as well. Don't starve yourself in order to save yourself for later, because it often backfires and you end up overeating. So ensure that you've got, you know, a bigger bolus of protein, whether it's a late breakfast stroke lunch, maybe a protein shake in the afternoon, and then you can have that flexibility around your dinner in the evening. So yeah, just again, another tip to add that I haven't mentioned yet, but whether it's holidays or social events, family meals, eating slowly. And again, because we know that these are social events and the idea is you're having things like conversation, you're having things like, again, you're enjoying the atmosphere. Slow down your eating, be present, and kind of check in to sense whether or not you're feeling full. The same goes for when you're eating at home, like trying not to eat while scrolling social media, or trying not to eat at your desk, or watching telly in the background. And I know those things are really enjoyable to do, but sometimes they can take your attention away from being present within the meal as well. So just a summary there. So plan your protein ahead of meals, walk before and after sort of social events or meetups, etc., and banking your calories in the day. So we talked about the breakfast, maybe doing an afternoon protein shake, and then allowing space for the dinner later on, staying hydrated again with each drink. And if alcohol is a part of your sort of socializing as well, breaking it up again. There are always lower calorie options to go for, lower calorie or 0 calorie mixers. Also, having water in between these alcoholic drinks are going to really help you. They'll make you feel better the next day as well. And yeah, just kind of think about taking control of the meals that you actually can. So this one I do have to mention, because quite often people kind of have this mindset, especially if they haven't pre-planned, for time ahead. They've gone, oh my God, I need this summer body now. And all of a sudden they think I've got to starve in the sun. So summer body does not equal starving in the sun. That's not what we're trying to do. And I get it. There's like so much pressure to, show up smaller or leaner or lighter in the summer because we're wearing lesser clothes. Again, it's better that you're supporting your body through healthful nutrition, so not starving, not skipping meals, accepting and having confidence, knowing that you can make empowered decisions that are going to help your future, and not trying to sit in the now. All this sort of business that you'll see where people start to go, oh, I'm going to cut carbs before the holiday. A lot of the time that's purely going to result in water loss, because for every 1 gram of carb that you intake, you're going to hold 3 to 4 grams of water. So that's going to make you feel crap. You're going to feel a bit flat as well without the carbs. So it's just about trying to be balanced here. So no point of feeling tired as a result of starving yourself, or bloated, because that can create sort of dysfunction in your gut as well. You can start feeling irritated or maybe even inflamed on holiday, and nobody wants that. So just being mindful. So yeah. And before we move on from here, again, the idea and the plan here is to ensure that when it comes to nutrition, we are focusing on energy and shape, right? We want to drop the body fat. We want to feel toned. Everything is not equal to and is not just, focused on the scale weight. Scale is a good indicator of progress over time, but it's not something that we look and shoot for day on day and week on week. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? It's a process. And women, our bodies fluctuate so much when it comes to water retention and water loss as well. There will always be shifts going on in the body. So it's good as an indicator of progress over time, but it's not equal to the shifts that are occurring behind the scenes. And yeah. Oh, we've skipped backwards. Okay. So what I want you to kind of think in terms of what we've done so far on this call is get a little bit more practical. So I want you to kind of think about 3 realistic habits that you can carry through the rest of this month. So whatever it is that you've got planned this month, if you've got any holidays, maybe any events, there's weddings coming up. People like to get they like to get married this time of year. Maybe there's some like events at schools and things, or maybe even work. You kind of have like end of year sort of summer socials, etc. I want you to kind of make a note here and think about one thing that you can do that's going to support your energy. Yeah. So maybe that's ensuring that you're fixing your sleep habit. Maybe that's taking time somewhere in the middle of the day to kind of work away from your desk and work on some stretching. Maybe it's something where you can kind of use the morning to kind of get out for a quick 5-10 minute walk to before you get to your desk, before you start your day. And then I want you to think about one thing that stabilizes your nutrition. So what's the one thing that you're going to do? It could be that I'm going to ensure that I've always got that one protein heavy meal per day, or it could be that I'm going to ensure that every meal I have throughout the day is paired with a form of protein, or it could be that I'm really going to focus on ensuring that I'm thinking about my plate and adding volume to it, especially if you're working to a deficit. So again, adding more veggies, adding more salads, that sort of thing to help add in some volume. Or it could be that maybe, again, even with the nutrition, maybe you're ensuring that you're not relying on snacking so much, and maybe it's more set meals and maybe one area of snackage just to allow for some flexibility. One thing that I think is really again a nice treat that you can kind of think about being inclusive and planning for, as you can get these little things called moon, they're called moochies or moon, oh gosh, what are they called? Moon balls or moon moochie ice cream balls. So it's like a rice paper ice cream ball, and they're about 77 calories a ball. But the idea and the anchor with this is that in order to have one, you've got to set it aside and you have to wait, because the instructions say that you have to rest it for 5 minutes out the freezer before it's edible. So by the time you've had that, well, you're not going to wait 5 minutes for every other one. And it's also portioning it out, you get like 6 or 8 in a box. You can go, right, this is the pack of Moochie, the ice cream balls that I'm going to plan in for the week ahead. And you can just stick them in and go, right, I'm going to have one on the Monday. And it's nice as a little treat, especially where it's hot now and you might think, oh, I just want a little snack, or again, depending on how you're feeling, where you are on your monthly cycle as well. So just thinking about different strategies that we can kind of work through in terms of your nutrition. And then I want you to think about one thing that helps you mentally or emotionally recharge. Again, this could come back to working on some meditation. Okay, so you've got things like the Calm app, or you've got Headspace. There's all these different things that you can kind of do that are, maybe they offer free subscriptions or discounted if you invest in a certain amount. Or if you've got a Spotify subscription, because I think most people do have a Spotify, they include it within it. If you have something like Amazon, they include some free meditation things that you can listen to, or you could just go and find a YouTube to kind of follow along to. Again, thinking about something that you can do. It might be, again, that you go, right, I'm going to take 5-10 minutes. I'm going to just walk away from all the drama. Anytime anyone makes me feel stressed or the heat's getting to me, I am just going to get outside. And if outside is too hot, maybe you need to go to the supermarket where you've got air conditioning. Wherever it is, just get out and cool off, and just think about that one thing you can do to kind of recharge. Okay, so ultimately our summer strategy is about showing up smart and not hard. You're on this program not to punish yourself. You're on this program to feel empowered, to make good, better decisions, to anchor in on the habits that we're building, to slowly work on changing the ones that are not serving you currently. So the idea is, this is a process and it's a sustainable approach that we're working through. So yeah, that's basically it from me, ladies. What I would love you to do is, after watching this video or after watching me live today as well, drop some of those habits into the group, some of those things that you really want to kind of anchor in and commit to this month. And so, yeah, let's show up. Let's show up this summer. Let's enjoy it. Let's stay on track. You know, maximize the days that you can control. So the days that we are working through the deficits, and then letting the other days flow through without guilt. Thank you for watching.